I'm Ron Ale. We're the team behind Killer Deal.
And you're watching Monster Nation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
All right, so Tribeca had a film festival for 2016. You are a big part of that. You hang out around there a lot. So why don't you tell us all about
I like to loiter by the Tribeca Film Festival. Well, this is my 4th year covering the festival.
Okay.
I was covering it for Geeks Out. And there was a lot of cool horror genre kind of stuff as part of it.
Now,
and I also like the fact that they specifically have a midnight section and they pay attention to horror and genre films. And I've seen some really good stuff over the years. I mean, one of my favorite horror films of the last decade by Xantium, it's a Neil Jordan vampire film. I saw that at my first Tribeca Film Festival. So,
what were some of the other, cool genre
well,
films?
again, not a horror film per se, but there's a movie called Rebirth, which
Okay.
is a really kind of weird, quirky kind of comedy thriller about like this cult basically. It's the kind of movie you can't talk about too much because you'll spoil it.
Okay.
But
Cults
the
are always
star is Fran Kranz, who you may remember as the stoner in Cabin in the Woods.
Okay, I do remember actually.
His
name is
the lead.
Fran.
Fran Kranz.
Fran. He's even cooler now that you say his name.
And also they kind of dropped him down to look like like the stocky stoner guy.
I hear
he
he's tight
is
under there,
fucking
right?
cut. Oh yeah, you see him shirtless. He's in very good shape, and it's just a really good performance. He's very very good in it.
All right, so one of the big things that we talked about that I know you were anticipation for, so much anticipation that we actually put it in one of our previous episodes about most anticipated movies coming up was actually holidays.
Holidays, and I found out like a week after we shot that was premiering at Tribeca, so I was stoked.
Good timing, huh?
Yeah, really good timing and really good movie. I can honestly say it's one of the best anthology films. There's been a lot of them, which I love. But I think that this kind of blows something like VHS or certainly Tales of Halloween, which was pretty damn mediocre, like out of the water. Because you're always going to have a range of quality, but there were so many really good, interesting, and different segments in this movie, and the only one that I can honestly say was a dog. Kevin Smith, and he did the Halloween one. He got like the best one, and it's garbage. It's like if you need to go to the bathroom, just leave during that segment. I believe it's also available on iTunes, so you can also just fast forward through him on iTunes. But
no love for Kevin Smith.
I'm sorry. It's not that I don't like Kevin Smith in general, but this particular segment was just trash.
Well,
it just wasn't good.
Well,
but the Easter one is really creepy. I think would find it fascinating because it kind of combines.
Because I like
because it combines Christian ideas of Jesus and stigmata with the Easter Bunny, so it's just really repulsive and unsettling and nightmarish.
Okay.
That one's really good. Father's Day is really, really spooky, and it has Jocelyn Donahue from The House of the Devil in it.
Okay.
And I got to meet her. I got to talk to her on the red carpet. She was fabulous. She took a picture with me, so I love her even more now. That one was really good. I'm trying to think what the other kind of the best ones were. Oh, and St. Patrick's Day, directed by Gary Shore, who did Dracula Untold, and who's Irish, so I'm sure he was wanted to jump on St. Patrick's Day. Such a weird, quirky story, and it's one of those things where you get to the end and you're like, wow, this is so just different, it's just very, very different. So
I love weird and quirky. Can you give us a little hint of what it was?
Basically what I can tell you is, it's set in Ireland, all Irish actors. An Irish school teacher is trying to get this weird little redhead in her class to open up and smile, and she manages to get her to smile, but she lives to regret it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
It's bizarre.
Oh, well, that sounds pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, holidays is really, really cool.
It's it also sounds like this festival had a real multimedia platform almost in some sense. Aside from just being about films, it looks like they're trying to usher in different kinds of technology now to watch it on.
So every year there's something called Storyscapes, which is interactive and sometimes includes virtual reality. Storyscapes had some very, very cool things in it. The most horror-oriented one was seances.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. It sounded really awesome.
Yeah.
So can you illuminate YouTube?
Yeah, well, the concept is you get around a table, sort of like in a seance, and there's all these little thumbnails of video clips floating around.
Okay.
And these clips were all created like, last year or at some point. But they're made to look very old school, like something out of the 70s or 80s. They got some really famous actors to be in it, like Charlotte Rampling. But what makes it so unique is that every time an audience watches it, it's different because they kind of put together all the clips. It generates a unique title. The first one I saw was called Where the Frightful Poets Play, which I remembered because it's a cool title.
It is a cool title.
And so it has a very like kind of grindhouse feel. It kind of reminded me of like the fake trailers from the movie Grindhouse.
So, other than midnight movies, was there any other kind of genre movies that were playing that you had fun with?
Yeah. There was one called Lavender, which I really, really liked. It's got Abby Cornish is the lead actress in it. And it is a very stylish kind of Hitchcockian thriller. Oh, also it has Dermot Mulroney from My Best Friend's Wedding and Justin Long in it. Okay. And what's cool about it is it's a very stylish kind of, eerie thriller with good production design, good use of like, kind of Midwestern type locations. I think it was actually shot in Canada, but it has that very rural feel to it. So, and something I like about this movie is it actually has a lot to do with like sexual abuse and that sort of trauma. And I thought they did a good job of conveying sort of the impact of that without it feeling like too in your face, too exploitative. And there's something a little bit, without giving away too much, it kind of has a nice like Take Back the Night feel to it, where you see this woman sort of work her way through this trauma and kind of like, again, I can't give it away, but there's consequences for the abuser. So that was a really interesting, cool movie. Okay. And you know what? One thing that I haven't talked about that I should put out there is the short films are always really interesting. They have programs where they organize them into different categories. There's usually short documentaries and short narrative films. And this year I actually saw kind of a neat little movie called The Carousel. Okay. It's about a carousel in upstate New York that inspired one of Rod Serling's Twilight Zone episodes. Oh, cool. And he grew up in the area, so what they did was they actually restored the carousel with scenes from the Twilight Zone. Oh. So if you're a Twilight Zone fan, this is a really cool segment to see because you got to see interviews with his adult daughter talking about her dad and how they created this attraction.